Once upon a time, down here in Texas, in a part of the Lone Star State known as the Hill Country, hidden at the edge of a rolling green forest, there was this big, old, beautiful cave. And this big, old, beautiful cave happened to be the home to a big, old, beautiful mess of bats. Over 1 million of them. These furry little flying critters had called the big, old, beautiful cave their home for a long, long time, since way back before the land around there was named Texas or Mexico, since back before there were any people around to give the land any sort of name at all. Now, according to our encyclopedia, the scientific way to refer to a cave full of furry little flying critters would have been to call them a colony of Mexican free-tailed bats. But I thought it was a little heartless to refer to them as a colony, when it was plain to see that what they really were was a family. One big, old, beautiful bat family made up of thousands and thousands of smaller bat families. All kinds of families made up of all kinds of bats, all living together in peace and harmony in their big, old, beautiful cave, way out there in the hill country. When I first learned about the bats and how they lived, I remember feeling a mite envious because they could do several things I'd always dreamed of being able to do, like fly, and stay up all night every night until the sun came up and then snore the daytime away. Because they slept during the day, to them, the evening was like our morning, and every morning at sunset, the bats would all fly out of their big, old, beautiful cave to hunt for food. They would stay out most of the night, flying for miles in all directions, while gobbling up mountains of moths and mosquitoes and flies and such. These bats were all natural-born bug hunters, and each one of them would eat its own weight in the pesky things every night, night after night. To them, all those bugs tasted better than barbecue. I know most folks are probably revolted by the idea of eating insects, but most folks think hot dogs are delicious, including yours truly, so it's probably best we don't judge. Never yuck anyone else's yum, as my mama used to say. When they weren't soaring through the night sky, the bats preferred to hang upside down by their feet. That's why they lived on the ceiling of their big, old, beautiful cave, in their own little upside-down bat city nestled into the rock. Living upside down was normal for the bats. From their perspective, they probably figured all of us humans were the ones who were living upside down. Now, contrary to what you may have heard, bats are not blind. They can see just fine, but they can hear even better. Every bat is born with a pair of super-powered ears that it can swivel in any direction, and bats use their ears in conjunction with their voices to create a kind of natural sonar array, which they use to help them avoid obstacles, zero in on prey, and escape predators. There were always plenty of mean old hawks and dumb old owls flying around out there hunting the bats for food whenever they were out hunting bugs for food. Luckily, bats are the fastest mammals in the world, so they were usually able to outrun the mean old hawks and owls and other birds of prey. Usually, but not always. Hunting and being hunted. It was their way of life. Each morning at sunrise, after the bats had finished gorging themselves at the big all-you-can-eat hill country bug buffet, they would fly back home to the big, old, beautiful cave to feed their pups and tuck all of them in for the day. That evening, when the sun went back down, the bats would wake up and repeat the exact same routine all over again, day after day, night after night, season after season, until the temperature began to drop. Bats are warm-blooded mammals just like you and me, and since there were over 1 million of them living in the big old beautiful cave, their collective body heat could usually keep the whole place nice and toasty warm. But once winter arrived, it would get too cold outside at night for the bats to hunt, unless they wanted to run the risk of freezing solid in mid-flight. And the colder it got, the fewer insects there were around for them to eat, and they would quickly start to run out of food. When that happened, the whole colony would pack up and fly south for the winter, migrating just like a lot of birds tend to do. They usually took their winter vacation down in South Texas or sometimes all the way across the border in old Mexico, where the weather was much warmer and where they could still find plenty of bugs to eat all winter long. Scratchbook. Bats aren't lucky enough to have jackets and winter coats to put on when it gets chilly out, but they do have a coat of fur on their bodies that helps keep them warm, and they can also wrap their furry little wings around their furry little bodies, which is sort of like having a built-in electric blanket.